Hello, and welcome to another episode of That 60s Recording Podcast, the podcast that has conversations inspired by the golden era of recording. This episode has been a long time coming. I had these conversations before the summer, but because they were recorded in quite a few phone calls, it was proving a little difficult to put together, slightly more difficult than my usual. I had to do a fair bit of editing on this, which isn't often the case with these conversations. I let you have them in their entirety. So this week I'm chatting with Ron Ryan, which is a name that you may not have heard of unless you're a Dave Clark 5 fan listening to this. You probably won't have heard of Ron, but he was a songwriter for the Dave Clark 5 and other artists in the 60s. He also worked as a session vocalist at studios in the 60s where they used to remake a lot of the chart hits to sell on compilations, and also sang and played on various records. So he's just a general working 60s muso and songwriter who I personally think is extremely underrated. If you Google Ron Ryan songwriter, there's a few stories about him on the internet, but in my opinion, he hasn't had the recognition that he deserves. So it was an absolute privilege to speak with him. As I say, I recorded this over about 3 phone calls, although we had 4 or 5 phone calls. I got on really well with him. I could listen to him chatting all day. Such a lovely chap. So I've tried to keep the conversation as full as I can. So we start off, he's big into guitars. So we start off talking about his guitar collection, and the conversation just sort of flows. It's not necessarily the usual structure of conversation that we have. He's just got such a wealth of stories and knowledge that I had some sort of target points that I wanted to speak about, but Ron just kind of went. And we ran with that, and it was lovely to just listen to him speaking essentially. So I really hope that you enjoy these conversations. I've split them up into 3 parts, so you'll have them over the next 3 weeks, just because it was quite a long conversation. And as I said before, my attention wanes after sort of 40 minutes or so of listening. So I've broken them up into small, bite-sized chunks so you can hear them. So anyway, we'll crack on with part 1 of my conversation with Ron Ryan.
Good morning.
Morning, Ron. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Have you been enjoying the sun?
Yeah. I was out in the garden yesterday reading. Somebody got a lot of books for Christmas, and somebody got me Muddy Waters' life story, and that was very interesting.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm halfway through that. Yeah.
All right. Would you recommend it?
Oh yeah. It's a bit hard going. Whoever wrote it, it's quite complicated language in a way, hard to describe. It was just, the person who wrote it obviously is very intelligent and very got the facts about it right and everything else, and goes into great detail, and it gets a bit hard reading at the time. It's not something you can skim through, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's a great reference book, it's good. I've got that, and another book I was bought, Eric Clapton's life story.
Oh, I've read that one. That's really good.
I'm looking, and also somebody in America, one of my friends in America, sent me a book about Eric Clapton's guitar.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that I haven't started that yet, but it's a guy who makes guitars, and he uses like a penknife and simple tools.
Yeah, that's.
I
cool.
mean, the guitars are ridiculous. I mean, I haven't got to the prices or anything like that, but it's it probably makes one a year, if you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
by all accounts, he picked one up in the studio and played it and said, "Well, I've got to have one of these." And the guy made him one, and the whole book is about the guitar. So that's an interesting read.
I'll have to check that out. My dad is he's a guitarist, which is where sort of how I came to music, and he's really into Eric Clapton. So I'll have to have a look at that and see because I think he'll enjoy that.
Oh no. If he's a guitarist, he'll love it. I've got that, and it's got pictures in as well. And the guy working in is, it's real. I mean, there's a guitar maker in Ireland called Loudon.
Yes, I know of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like him, but on a much smaller scale. And there's another maker in America called Collins.
Okay.
And they make. I mean, quite honestly, it's. I mean, I could afford something like that, but I can't justify it, if you know what I mean.
No, of course, yeah.
I mean, I had a Martin that I borrowed once for a TV thing, and it was a lovely guitar, but I just can't see me paying $2,500 for a second-hand guitar.
No. The one of the nicest acoustics I've played was a friend of mine's got an old Epiphone before it was Gibson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely gorgeous. It plays. It's just a dream to play it. It's so easy.
Yeah, there's they made them in Japan for a while. He's probably got the American one, but they made him in Japan before they made him in China, all made in China now. But the Japanese ones are good, are very good. But the especially the Texan, the American one, they've reissued it now in America. But again, it's a very expensive guitar.
Yeah.
I've always liked Ovations as well, but the only trouble is being a big bloke and having fondness for beer. It rolls off your stomach a bit. But I've always liked Ovations. I've had a few of those.
Yeah, they play nicely, but that you're right. The back is a little bit odd, isn't it, with the big sort of plastic bowl or whatever it is.
I mean, when people come on to me, about guitars and what to buy and everything, I always steer them towards Yamaha.
Yeah.
I've got an old Yamaha. It's made in China, but or Taiwan, I should say. And it's about 20 years old, and it's a 402. They only made them for a little while. I've got one of those. That's a very nice guitar. But any Yamaha I've picked up, from the cheapest to the most expensive, have always very, very good value for money, good playing guitars. I recommend Yamaha very highly.
Yeah, I think I haven't played an awful lot of them, but you're absolutely right. When I was first starting out, I used to do a lot of the teaching in schools, and they had a lot of the Pacifica electrics.
Oh yeah, I've had a few of those.
Yeah, and they sound great. They, like you say, they play.
Well,
play
when they
really
come
well.
out, they knock Squire into a sales slump because they had a solid wood body. I mean, some of the early Squires were plywood.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, they were. Although they're collectible now, and people like the old Squires, a lot of them are made of plywood.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've got a 2000 Squire, which is, I can't remember what the model is. I get a bit confused with Squires, but the colour of it's called Aztec Gold, and I don't think they did.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've seen it. It might be a standard. If you look at the headstock, you might see at the end it's either got affinity or standard.
I think it's standard.
Yeah, be standard. Yeah, I've had one of those. Yeah, I've had very, very good. A bit heavy. But,
it is heavy. You're right. It was only £100, and I just found it
I
bought
one. I bought one for 100, and because I do a bit of wheeling and dealing, and I sold it for about 130, 140.
Yeah, I think they're worth, because I've inquired about what they're worth. When I found out it was, I mean, it's not like the best guitar ever, but it was an interesting guitar.
Oh, no. I mean, for value for money on that line is Classic Vibe. Have you ever tried one of them?
I've played a few in shops, yeah. I've not had one.
No, Classic Vibe are very, very good. I've had a few of those Telecasters and Strats, because I say I'll wheel and deal. And I've had a few of those. I'll tell you what I've got now. I've got a Squire 20th anniversary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, although that's going to be 20 years old, and it's mint. Whoever had it didn't play it.
Right.
I got it cheap, and I've had a few offers for it, but I just like to keep it around. I've got too many, really, to be honest with you.
They're nice to look at, aren't they?
Well, I always say this, people saying to me, I've got a dentist friend, of course, dentist, say no more, but he's got about 7 or 8 in his living room, 7 or 8 Les Pauls.
Yeah, wow.
Say no more.
That's
Old
it.
ones.
Yeah.
I dread to think what they're worth, but he plays 3 chords.
Yeah.
That's it. But like he said to me, he said, people sound crazy, Ron. I said, well, no. I said, stock market, not so much stock market, but building society, banks. So any investment you're going to make, pennies. You pick up a nice Gibson at the right price and stick it on the wall for a few years and see how much that's gone up.
That's it, exactly. I mean,
And I say, all right, you can pay 500 quid for a nice oil painting. You put it up on the wall and you get a lot of enjoyment looking at it. And this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, it's an oil painting. If you sell it, you get 500 for it. You're lucky.
Yes.
If you get that, I said, you spend 500 quid on a good guitar. You hang that up on the wall. You get enjoyment looking at it. If you're into guitars, and you want to have it? Okay, see you later. But at the end of the day, when you come to sell it, I mean, when I started playing, in bands and doing all right, I could afford a new guitar, so I went into Tottenham Court Road in Selmers and had a look round there, and I said, what you got? This is about 1966, 67, I suppose, and probably a bit earlier. And he said, oh, hello, Ron. He said, because I used to go in there a lot, he said, got these new Offners in, very thin. And I said, oh, that's a nice-looking box. And I bought it, 69 guineas, worth about 800 quid.
Okay.
Now, 800 or 900 quid, second. Probably £1,000. 69 guineas. But he said, I've got a few Telecasters in. And I said, and they're 69 guineas as well. Now, a 1965 Telecaster, how much is that worth now?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's
but I bought the, I like the look at the Hofner. It would look good on stage, in the band. Yeah, very thin. It was a good guitar. Good old days.
So, I think we should just dive right in, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, you go ahead, mate.
Well, because this is quite... I think people would enjoy hearing you talking about guitars. I don't know whether you're happy for me to keep that in. But...
Oh, no, you keep that. No, keep it.
Excellent, because this is sort of thing...
I mean, another interesting... Is it still running?
Oh, yeah, I've been running from the beginning.
Okay, well, another because you can edit it. Another interesting thing, funny enough, I was talking to a friend who phoned me from the States the other day about guitars, and he was saying, I remember the British invasion. He said, you were part of it with the songs. He said, but the British had an edge to their music rather than Americans. And I said, well, there's a reason for that. And he said, why is that? I said, because in the early days, there was a trade ban between America and England, or Britain, rather.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know about that. And you could not buy a Fender or a Gibson guitar, a new one. You couldn't buy one then. I mean, the first one that come into the country was bought by Cliff Richard, Frank Marvin. That was a Strat.
All right.
And I think that was about in the 60s, early 60s or mid, and that was the first time anybody had seen. So you had to make do with what you could get. Now, the best ones on the market at that time were the German Hofners, but they were expensive. I mean, when I started the Skiffle group, I had a junk shop guitar, and you know about guitars. This one was a classical guitar, most people seem to start off on the classical guitar mainly because it's cheap.
Yes.
But I couldn't get any power out of it, so it was a high action anyway. So I put electric guitar strings on there, steel one. And the only ones that you could get in them days, more or less, were a firm called Black Diamond.
Okay.
And they started, the E string was 14.
Wow.
And it went up from there. So that you imagine that was bad enough on an electric guitar.
Your fingers must have been fried.
Well, you know what we used to do? You used to make your fingers bleed. And I wasn't the only one. I mean, even people who were buying F-hole guitars, cello guitars with the F-holes, they were putting heavy strings on them because that's all you could get. And of course, the action was so high, you had to. You either thought, I ain't having this. I can't stand the pain, and my fingers are bleeding. Or you said, no, I'll keep on with it. They'll harden up. Because don't forget, the old blues singers in America in the 20s and 30s, they didn't have Gibsons 9 times out of 10. Mm-hmm. They didn't have Gibsons or Epiphones. They had Sears and Roebuck guitars. They got, mail order. They had old harmonies and the Stella guitars.
Yes.
And they were cheap. And the action on there was high. And that's how they got their sound. And that's how the Brits got... Because we had to work at it, and with a Fender or a Gibson, even a Squire, it's easy to play, isn't it? The actions... I mean, if you get it set up right, the action is lovely. But, you could get... Literally, you could get your four fingers, palm of your hand more or less through the strings and the fretboard. It was... No, seriously, it was... And that's what it was like, in them days. And that's what gave us the sound.
I guess that's a volume thing as well. If you... Presumably that guitar you're talking about wasn't electric, so you were playing...
Oh, no. Well, we didn't have electric. That guitar I had, I formed a skiffle group. And, of course, a lot of friends wanted to buy that, cheap guitars.
Yeah.
And picked up one or two chords, and they wanted to join us. The skiffle group was, like I keep saying, my American friends. No skiffle, no Beatles, no Stones. They all started with skiffle groups, and our first skiffle group was about 7 or 8 people on guitars, somebody on a washboard, and somebody on the TTS bass. But when it comes to singing, no microphones, no amplification at all. No microphones. So what we done, we got some friends, friends of the band, people, and the church hall that we used to practice in, I put all the friends down one end, the band at the other end, and we took it in turns to sing a song. And whoever could hear the singer above the band got the job as singer.
So whoever had the loudest voice, basically.
And that was me. I had the biggest mouth. The first gigs we done in working man's clubs and that, where they started putting skiffle groups on, no implication. Just sung. And the first amplification we got was when my brother bought a 15-watt True Voice amp, Selma, and he put his guitar, had 2 inputs in it, and he put his guitar through it, because he got electric guitar by then, and I put the microphone through the other channel. So that was our PA, shared with the guitar. 15 watts.
Wow. So we're talking, I guess, sort of mid-50s at the minute.
Mid-50s, yeah. Of course, as time went on, my first PA I built myself. I got a Vortexian amp, which is an ex-Army amplifier, what they used.
Yeah.
Valve amp. Worth a lot of money now, but they were the cheapest you could get then. Vortexian amp I bought, and I bought a couple of old guitar speakers, 12-inch guitar speakers. Got a load of plywood, made 2 cases, and put one speaker in each, and that was our PA.
Wow.
And it worked.
Well, yeah, that's really cool. I mean, I suppose a PA system is not the sort of thing then you could just nip down to a shop and buy.
No. And the first PA systems were absolutely terrible. They were column speakers. They were like 2 columns with about 4 or 5 6-inch speakers in them.
Okay.
They were terrible.
Yeah.
The Vox used to make them, and they were bloody terrible. I mean, it wasn't until I would say the 1967, 68 that Burns come along and started making a good PA head, 100-watt PA head, and speakers that it all changed.
Yeah.
I remember doing a gig with the Who. Second time I saw the Who, and the next time we done a gig with them, and they had bass bins. First time I've ever seen.
Oh wow! Yeah,
first time and they had roadies. I've never seen anybody with roadies before. and this is true. They roadies brought in the bass. I could see it now in my mind's eye. They brought in the bass speakers, right, and nailed them to the stage. I'm not joking. They nailed them to, and the bloke who had the venue was doing his pieces. He said, "Got to do that, mate. They move around so much." And they've nailed them to the stage. And when the Who were on, I mean, they were a brilliant band, but so loud, in them days. Yeah. I mean, we was nowhere near as loud as that, but crikey, when they played, oh dear me, so loud. But I mean, we played with them 3 times, backing them in London clubs. Not backing them, supporting.
Yeah.
And I used to go to the bar and have a drink, but at the end, I couldn't stand when they smashed the stuff up,
Yeah.
Because I remember saving, doing a paper round and that to get my first guitar and looking after it and this, that and the other, and see people smashing, I never got over that. I thought that was horrible. Still fills me with grief watching it, Well, I don't watch it, but you know what I mean. But, I mean, I got chatting to the roadie on the second gig we done with him, and I was talking. I said, I hate him. He said, don't worry. He said, what I do, he said, Jenny got a Rickenbacker that he smashes up at the end. He said, he don't use it for the rest of the gig. It's just the last number they smash it up. He said, but I've got him this time. I've got a steel rod going the length of the guitar to the machine head at the top. He said, I've screwed that in and drilled it and screwed it in. He'd have a job getting the neck off that bugger. And the speakers that they rammed the guitars in the ones that they'd done were empty. There was nothing in them, so that was... but I didn't like that destruction, But like Rhodey said, if they didn't do that, he said, there'd just be another band.
Yeah, it's true. He said,
really? He said, your show business. He said, that's what got him noticed. It wasn't he said, there was loads of bands around that was just as good as this, but that was at the end, the smashing up of the things. And that's what they were known for. I mean, if they'd done a show then and didn't smash the gear up, there'd be a riot.
Yeah.
That's what... but that's what they come for, that was their bit.
Yeah, they're expecting to see it.
I didn't like it, There you go.
I want to talk about your songwriting. When did you start? So if you think going back to kind of playing this sort of junk shop guitar, were you writing at that stage or was that coming later?
I was writing before then.
Okay.
Now, the first memory I have, I must have been about 6 or 7. My dad, who played piano accordion, violin, and musical saw.
Oh, right, wow.
if you get a cross-cut saw, you know, the long one,
Yeah.
you know, ordinary out the shop, right? Put it between your knees, hold the top, and get a violin bow with plenty of rosin on it, and play the back, not the teeth, of course. You play the back. You can play it. It sounds like a wine guitar.
Right, wow.
I don't know if there's anything on YouTube about it, but I bet if you put musical saw on YouTube, you'll see somebody playing it.
I have to go and watch some videos.
Yeah. Well, I haven't tried it myself. I'm just guessing. But my dad used to play it. He used to play the Hawaiian thing, you see. He used to play it on there. And it was beautiful, you know. But he could play violin. He used to play classical stuff like Cavalier Rusticana. That's one of my favourites he used to play. All perfect. By ear. Couldn't read a note of music.
Wow.
Yeah, but he's Irish, you see. And I think he's born in the Irish. And he could play piano. He used to make money by playing, extra money by playing piano. And the first time I sung was when I was about 5 or 6, I suppose. He used to take me to the pub sometimes, smuggle me in, and stand me on the table, and he used to play the piano, and I used to sing.
Oh, wow.
And he used to put the hat round. Yeah. I never remember seeing any of the money, but there you go. But, no, that's the first. But getting back to songwriting, he and a friend were asked to write a song for Arthur Askey. You'll have to look that up in ancient history, but he's a musical star. Okay. He had a thing called the Bumblebee song or something. And I can remember, now I must have been about 6 or 7, yeah, no older than 7. And I was in the next room, and they were at the piano writing the song, trying to write a song for him. And I remember thinking, no, they've got that wrong. No, it'd be better if they, you know. I didn't say anything to him. He didn't say anything in them days. Kids were seen but not heard. But I can remember when they was trying to write this song, I was writing it with them and trying to correct no, that don't work. That don't scan. No, that's. Well, I didn't say scan because I didn't know what scan meant.
Yeah.
but I thought, no, that's not right. The first song I ever wrote, I can remember that. I must have been about 11 or 12. And I'm walking along. By this time, I didn't play anything, by the way. Okay. There was music all around me, and I sat at the piano, but I couldn't make head or tail of it at the time. My dad was always too busy to show me, always down the pub. but I'm walking back from school, and it's raining, and I've got a pair of heavy shoes on, and my feet were going clip, clop, clip as I was walking along, and it was rhythm. And I started writing a song, and it was a blues. I'd heard some blues, but I didn't know much about blues. But I'd heard original Jimmy Rogers and all that, and it was called Deep Sea Blues. I don't remember any of the words, to be honest with you, but it was called Deep Sea Blues, and I didn't even know much about blues at all, and I couldn't play it because I couldn't play an instrument, but it was in my head. So I had all the music, and I've got a weird way of writing. I've never known anybody. Well, there must be other people who write like me, I suppose. But I do all my writing in the head. Okay. Because in my head, I can form a band. I can write drummer goes, and I can hear it all, you know. Then I put singers in, I can hear singers. And it sounds weird, but that's the way I do it. I mean, when I write a song, 9 times out of 10 it's written before I ever sit down at the piano or pick up a guitar, because it's in my head.
Yeah, interesting. That Sorry, go on.
I'll give you a good example. You know the song I wrote, Any Way You Want It, Dave Hart, yeah?
Yes.
Right. Would you believe that was written Okay. In my head, and this was the lineup: a black American choir, right, in a church with the church band, with the Hammond organ, drums, bass, guitar. Aretha Franklin singing lead. Right?
Yeah.
Now, that was any way you want it. It was written as a gospel.
Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah. Now, loads of bands, including Dave Garfield, of course, have got the hit. Kiss have done it. Lots of bands have done it. But the best version has never been heard except for me. And that's what I heard in my head. If you can imagine that, Aretha, any way you want it, you can come in. And then the choir come in, the backing.
Yeah.
With the band and the hand clapping. And it works into a frenzy, if you can imagine that. I know it's a stretch of imagination.
Not at all. I can really picture Aretha Franklin singing that.
But that's how it was, and the crowd going mad in the church, Although it's not a church song, I mean, crikey, it's a miracle in a way that when I played it first of all to Dave and Mike, because that's how I used to do. They used to come round my place, and I used to sit at the piano or pick up the guitar and play them the song. When I played it to them, it was silence. They couldn't believe it. Said, "What? That's brilliant. That's fantastic. That's just me and the guitar." And I said, "This is a new way to go. It's a kind of a gospel-y thing." Mick loved it, and or Mike, I should say. Mike loved it, and but that's how it went. That's how I heard it in my head. But as I played it to them, that's how they recorded it, and that was the last song I ever wrote for the Dave Garfield. But by this time, Dave was living in a great big bloody house, big house. He showed me round and made a big deal of it all, and he's got a Jag outside. And I'm still waiting for my money, Yeah. I said, well. Oh, he said this comes from the gigs and everything, We haven't got the songwriter royalties yet, Yeah. You'll have all this. You'll have all this with your share, which never happened, of course. But and that's it. But that's how I write the songs. And another one that's funny, bits and pieces.
Yes.
Now there's a story there. Actually, it's two songs. I've always liked blues and country.
Yeah.
They're my two loves. Mainly because of the stories. I like the stories. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to get Dave to. I'll go into it more in detail on something else, but they had Glad all over. We had bits and pieces and all that, But I said this was getting towards Because, the song Because.
Yes, yeah.
I said, Dave, you're getting it. Well, I'll come on to that later on. You have to edit this. Getting back to bits and pieces, I always thought, why don't you try a country song, Dave? I said, country type song, but do it in your own way. No, he said, I don't like country and western. I said, well, you got three good singers in the band, Mike, Lenny, and Dan. I said, and Mike could sing lead, and they could sing the vocals, backing vocals. I said, So I wrote bits and pieces, and I come up with a title first of all in my head because with the lyrics, because it was written as a country song.
Okay.
And the theme of the song was a guy was in misery because he had a broken heart and he was picking up bits and pieces of his heart.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm with you.
And I haven't got bits and pieces by then. I said odds and ends. No, because in them days, when you said, we say bits and pieces now, but in them days you didn't. You said odds and ends, odds and sods. but nobody, I can't remember anybody saying bits and pieces. But I said, oh, there's bits and pieces of his heart. I thought, oh, bits and pieces, that scans very nicely. Yeah, I love that. So anyway, I wrote this country song and I sung it to Mick and Dave. And Dave said, no, I don't like that. He said, no, it's not our kind of bag. And I said, well, fair enough. He said, I like the title, that Bits and Pieces. That's brilliant. He said, I like that. And he said, have you got anything else? I said, well, I've got this song and it's nearly finished, but I said, in fact, we've done it with my band on gigs.
This is the Walkers.
The Walkers,
Yeah.
I said, and what we do, it's like the Dave Clark thing. I'll get onto that in a minute. I told you about your mask. Said you cried in your sleep last night, didn't I?
Yes, I think you did, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that kind of beat. So what we done, the band would start stomping 1, 2, 3, 4 on the floor with no instruments, just a bass drum for 4 bars. Then the drums diggity, 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 bang, bang, like a Dave Clark beat, which it was.
Yeah.
And I said, everybody get on the floor, gonna dance till way past 4, all that. And when the band slows down, we yell for more and all this kind of thing. But it was literally, I called it Keep on Stomping. And we done it, and it went down a bomb. And I played that. Dave said, that's great. He says, that's great. And he said, yes. And so, Mike said, oh, no, I can't. So we sat at the piano and blah, blah, blah. So what actually happened, he got Mike to put most of the lyrics from Bits and Pieces on to Keep on Stomping.
Oh, okay.
So really, it's 2 songs amalgamated into one. I was a bit annoyed with Dave. I said, well, after they recorded and they played it to me, I said, yeah, but you could have asked me to do that. I mean, I could. He said, well, it worked out the same. As he said, they were both there. It's just mixing the 2 songs together. I said, Mick done that. I said, oh, well. He said, you'll still get your 50%, so don't worry about it. Which I didn't, of course.
Yeah. Okay, there we have it. Part 1 with Ron Ryan. Hope you've enjoyed that. Part 2 and Part 3 will be coming over the next couple of weeks. I don't have anything else to report, especially, so I'm just going to do my usual spiel of if you'd like to support this podcast by buying one of the lovely enamel mugs that we have, you can do that at my website, allyouneedisdrums.com. There is a shop there. On that website, you can also see the full collection of isolated drums I have. I think there's almost 60 Beatles stems or multi-tracks, as I've been told to call them. Although everybody I know just calls them stems. Anyway, there's a complete collection of stuff up there. There's also some Stones tracks, and there's some other 60s artists tracks up there with plenty more to come. So you can check those all out on my website. You can also get in touch with me about drum sessions if you're interested in that kind of thing through my website. That's it. I'd like to say a big thank you to Rory Hancock for putting the podcast together, to Joe Kane for the intro and outro music, and to David Henshaw for the lovely artwork he supplies. You guys have a fantastic week, and I will see you next Tuesday. Goodbye!